While the concept of smurfing is still relevant in today's online gaming world, I'd like to interpret it from the position of a new player in the game of Overwatch. By newer player, I mean a player that is clearly newer to the game, like somebody that just started, and I would also label a learning player as a newer player because they're trying to achieve the goal of becoming the best possible player that they can be. However, a learning player should not be confused with a player that refuses to learn from or admit their mistakes and thinks that they should just win games because they are that skilled and everyone around them is not. I wholeheartedly believe that smurfing, the act of creating an alternate account to play against less skilled players, exceptionally hurts these two types of players more than anyone else. In their perspective of a new player, there are two ways we can take a look at this. The first is if the smurf is on the enemy team, and the second is if the smurf is on your team or the main team. When the smurf appears on the enemy team, you're essentially giving that team a boost when you're smurfing on them, almost always rolling the team you're against. You're making the newer players feel frustrated and unwanted. Maybe they can't play their role because of how much issues you're giving their team, which in conjunction causes their team to blame the newer player for not knowing what they're supposed to do, causing a complete failure of teamwork, which is a very important skill to have in the game of Overwatch. On top of this, it might also give new players a bad representation, as they could be seen as a smurf and flamed by their team for doing poorly, despite the fact that they only just started playing. This set of circumstances is nearly similar for the learning players, except for the fact that it is extremely hard to learn from a game where one team got completely destroyed by the other team due to a smurf. On the other hand, when the smurf appears on your team, it's likely to result in a victory. This has the opposite effect and causes these newer / learning players to be boosted into SR and ranks that they may not deserve, or give them too much confidence and bad habits because they did a certain thing and won despite the carry actually being a smurf on their team, and that victory was not the result of anything that the newer or learning player did. Now, I know that not all smurf accounts are created equal. Some are bad, some are for good or informational purposes. An example of a bad smurf account is someone that creates a new account to deliberately throw or win games against players that are less skilled than themselves in order to make themselves feel better at the game and have no repercussions to their own SR or rank. An example of a good smurf account is an account that is created as a form of challenge to get to a high SR. So some of those examples would be like unranked to Grandmasters, typically Grandmasters is as the highest they will go, or a way to give educational advice to newer players through either a stream or video for a certain character without endangering their own SR. So if they wanted to play, let's say, an off-meta hero all the way up until a certain SR where they cut it off, whether that be their own SR or one right below it, then that would be one of those examples. Lastly, in terms of smurf accounts, I came across another reason someone might want to create one, which is faster queue times. And while this may be true while you're grinding from point A to B with this account, you're likely going to end up with the same queue times that you had previously and probably faster than you did with your main account, just because of how good our current SR system is in terms of placing high skilled players in higher ranks rather than lower ranks after they're done with their placements. Whichever the case may be, these are both still unhealthy for the player base because of the issue it causes in game. So Astal, you're saying that there's nothing good that comes from smurfing, and my answer for that is mostly yes. I would say that if there is anything good at all, it's allowing higher ranked players, people that are diamond and above, to improve their gameplay by playing against these more skilled players. This, however, only works at these above average ranks, as anything below will almost certainly result in a one-sided game. Another topic I would like to touch on are alternate accounts. Alternate accounts are similar to smurfs, except they are typically at or very near the rank of the main account. A point I want to make clear is that all alternate accounts start as smurf accounts until they reach the rank of the main account. So being a master's account playing on a plat alt is not playing on an alternate account, you are smurfing. That being said, if the alt account is that of a role you do not typically play, while it is still considered smurfing due to your game sense knowledge, it is less of a smurf account and more of an alternate account, and is also acceptable in some forms. In the end, the point of this video is to say that smurf accounts are unneeded and unwanted. Players do not want to play against or with smurfs, but rather with people that are their skill level, so that they can improve gradually over time without any drawbacks or bumps in the road that these accounts can typically lead to. I would say only 1 to 5% of the player base should have an alternate or smurf account, and it should only be for the purpose of educational content or challenging said player. For the rest of the player base, having a smurf will not improve your skills, it won't make you better at the game, it will only ever ruin other people's enjoyment of the game, and you're not improving your own skill by playing against people that are less skilled than you. If you want to support the game or the company, there's entire pages of merchandise on Blizzard gear, and there are loot boxes that you can purchase. You don't have to purchase a brand new Overwatch game to support them. Learn to enjoy the game for what it is and what it has at your own skill level. And lastly, I'd just like to say, like, my proposed solution for this, I think one of the better solutions is to allow account linking. I feel like Blizzard is pulling in a lot of money from new accounts, and I don't want people to go and not be able to play on an account they purchased or feel bad about getting another account. However, allowing for a brand new account to be linked to another account would place that new account in the correct skill bracket. Now, I know this isn't a perfect solution, as people could choose not to link, but for the people that do, it would still allow them to get an alternate account without the grind back to their rank, and would lessen the amount of smurfing going on in games. I'm not saying it would go down by much, but it is an option. Another option would be to link all accounts playing under the same IP address, although I'm not sure if this is possible, though an IP ban is possible, so I don't see why not. Although not a perfect solution, because it could cause people in the same house getting placed into ranks that are too high for their current skill level. Although they would lose and eventually fall down, it essentially creates the same problem as now, but in reverse. Not to mention people that use stuff like VPNs or other ways to change their IP address might be able to just ignore this altogether, so who knows. That's my whole take on this subject, at least. I wouldn't mind hearing your thoughts or opinions in the comments below, and if you enjoyed the video, give it a like. See ya.